The Chapel estate in the heart of Southampton has all the hallmarks of a well-to-do neighbourhood. Wide pavements, leafy surroundings and immaculate paintwork. In fact, a third of residents live in affordable homes. It's hard to imagine that just over a decade ago, the area was a crime-ridden lorry park beset by prostitution and antisocial behaviour that the people of the city gave a wide berth.
Well, throughout the 1950s and 60s, Chapel was a residential area which was made up of Victorian terraced houses. And then in the 1960s slum clearances, it was demolished and became a lorry park. And then over the years, it became really industrialised and it gained a really bad reputation for an area of high crime and antisocial behaviour.
The estate was devised by housing association Radian, together with future residents. The idea was to get the people who'd be living here involved before any bricks were laid.
The affordable, what we call the affordable part of Chapel, is pepper potted throughout the development. So that's really to help break down those barriers between those that rent and those that are owner occupiers, to try and alleviate some of those concerns of the residents who are potentially moving into the development. Then the design features also took into account people's fear of the crime, in the neighbourhood. So you'll see design features such as each of the 3 blocks here has safe communal courtyards where young children can play. We made sure that car visibility in the area was reduced by having underground car parking. And even considered things such as, making sure there's wide pavements so when residents are outside they can interact with their neighbours quite freely. On top of that, because it's a really high density area, it's in an urban area, it's really important to think about people's space in a living environment. So each of the occupants here have their own outside space. So really investing in the design, the community, right at the beginning, giving that support. Whilst that's really costly, community investment is very costly. But in the long term, what we've seen 10 years on is that we've had to spend very little on general housing management. So we've seen that there is very little rent arrears here because of all the support with residents that are now all very economically active. We have very few cases of antisocial behaviour, which costs money to deal with antisocial behaviour cases. We have very few people that move out of Chapel, so we don't have what we call void costs when you have to go in and perhaps redecorate or maintain an empty home or get it ready to let out again.
And it seems the investment has paid off. People who live on the Chapel estate are 3 times less likely to be on job seekers allowance than the national average. They're more likely to be economically active and engaged in the community. The estate also has lower crime than surrounding neighbourhoods. Mother of 1 Jacqueline has been living on the estate from the beginning. She says the sense of light and space have improved her well-being, and she enjoys the community life that the new neighbours have forged together.
Well, I've been living in the Chapel estate for 10 years. I came from a place up in Harefield in Southampton. It was a lovely home, but I didn't get on with the neighbours. So I was offered a flat in the development here, and I took it with both hands. And been very happy here with me and my daughter. I do like the community feel. The neighbours are lovely. I haven't got any complaints really. I feel sort of quite content here because it's been looked after around here. It's not sort of getting run down even after 10 years. It's still got a nice sort of standard of look 10 years on.
But even with its successes, Radians say they've learnt important lessons from the Chapel development that they'll be taking forward onto future projects.
It hasn't all been perfect, and there have been things that have cropped up that we've needed to rectify. So we put the play park in 10 years ago, and because there has been a low turnover of residents, it's become clear that actually the kids that moved in then, while that play park was relevant to them at that time because they were sort of smaller, they've outgrown it. And so it doesn't get used as much now, and we get feedback from residents about how it's no longer appropriate equipment for their children.
But even with these tangible benefits, the demand for housing is so high in the Solent area that many developers just won't see the need to fork out money up front, even if it does lead to a better design. Charlotte Briere-Edney, that's Solent.